40 years since A New Hope was made in London. I also want to take just a minute because out in this audience are our fellow producers, Allison Shermer, John Schwartz, Simon Emanuel. I want to give them a shout out. I want to give the Disney executives that have flown in from Los Angeles a big shout out. Alan Horn, Alan Bergman. We have Lucasfilm people here. We have crew from episode 8 as well as Rogue One. So it is a genuine Star Wars celebration.
I'm Kathleen. Woo! So Kathy, what is a Star Wars story?
A Star Wars story, the thing is we have this amazing opportunity to be able to tell stories inside this incredible universe. And in the past, all the Star Wars movies have been made as either sequels, prequels, and now we can have these standalone movies that can explore different characters, different places, different planets, different experiences all the way around. And I think that that's something that all of us are extremely excited about.
And why Gareth Edwards? I know it's a bit embarrassing because he's sitting here, but why did you choose him to direct this film?
Why Gareth Edwards? No, seriously, it's funny, when the cameras were swinging around, I saw our DP, Greg, where are you? Right there. And Greg and Gareth were actually amazing to watch because Gareth made this decision based on a style that he uses with the movies he makes, where he puts the camera on his shoulder for just about every shot. And that really sort of gave us the sense of what the style of the movie might be, and more importantly, it's a style that is unlike any other Star Wars movie. And the whole time we were making the movie, I would often walk onto the set and I'd be like, where's Gareth? And then I'd see him with this huge camera on his shoulder, off in the middle of the shot, doing another angle, finding some incredible way to immerse us inside the movie. And I think that's what is so amazing about his style, is this is going to be an incredibly immersive experience when you see Rogue One.
It seems like it really enhances our experience of the world. And Gareth, please can you tell me about your personal connection to Star Wars and what it means to you, obviously not just professionally, but personally, to be a fan and direct this film?
I mean, I think I'm probably a lot like everybody in this audience in that I watched A New Hope every day growing up until that Betamax tape was completely worn out. And if you told me that one day I'd get to direct this film, I'd never have believed you. Like, I sort of think in some parallel world I'm out there watching me on stage, very jealous, saying, shut up you idiot, I should be doing that. And it's just been the most insane, most surreal experience you could ever have. Every day, just when you think you've had the craziest day in your life, the next day tops it.
Was there a particularly memorable day for you?
There's a million. I guess on one occasion we were filming, I was with Felicity, and we're in the middle of a shot, and someone just nudged me and said, pointed at this guy in the corner and said, do you want to meet Luke Skywalker? And I looked over and there was Mark Hamill, and I went over to him and he was wearing a Godzilla t-shirt, which is the film I made before, and I was like, you know when you go up to someone and you're so much in awe of them, I don't know what I said to him. I was trying to be articulate and intelligent, and I don't know what came out. And he was being really sweet and complimentary. And all I was thinking as he was talking to me, I was just looking at my peripheral vision going, please, Lord, someone be taking a photograph of me. No one's going to believe that I met Luke Skywalker. And the problem with this film is you can't talk about it. You can't tell your friends, you can't tell your family anything. And all I wanted to do was go home and go, I met Luke Skywalker. And everyone's like, how was work? And you're like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, fine. Fine. Internally, met Luke Skywalker. How was your day? How was the supermarket, right? Yeah, fine. John, you are the Chief Creative Officer at ILM. I want to talk to you about the origin of the concept for Rogue One, because you actually came up with this years ago while you were working on another project. Can you please tell us more about what inspired this idea and your creative involvement with the film both then and now?
Yeah, actually, this started about 13 years ago when we were shooting episode 3 in Sydney, and I heard that George and Rick were developing this live-action TV series, and I got thinking about what sort of fun stories you might be able to tell in that episodic format, and I started playing around with this idea, drawn from the opening crawl of 4 of sort of Mission Impossible style spy mission to steal the Death Star plans. And so I started tinkering around with what the plot structure of something like that might be. And then a day or two later, I was chatting with Rick, and I asked him about the show, and he told me sort of what the era and general subject matter was, and then I realized, well, that this idea has no place in that concept. So I dropped it, and it wasn't until later when the new slate of films was announced a few years back that beyond the saga films, we were also doing these standalone stories. And I was thinking, that original idea could make a pretty good standalone film. And I was chatting just informally with friends at work, and we'd be talking about this slate of films, and I'd give them the informal pitch. Well, how about this? How about Imagine? And I got such enthusiastic responses when I would describe this that I couldn't help but continue to make it a little more elaborate and kind of think through some of the character arcs and who these people are and how this might end. And finally, I made this sort of informal pitch to a friend of mine who said, "Oh my God, you need to make an appointment right now with Kathleen Kennedy, and you need to pitch this." And I realized, well, actually he's right, because if I don't, I'll always wonder what would have happened if I had.
Wow. Wow, from those really early dreams, it's amazing what can happen, isn't it?
It's kind of surreal to be here doing it.
Yeah, tell me about it. So, you've got some early concept art with you, is that correct?
Yeah, I think we have one bit of art to show. This is the very first bit of art that was done for Rogue One. This is sort of going back to one of the initial core ideas of this being, I've always loved these films where you have a small group of extraordinary people with complementary skills that come together to do something amazing that you see in commando films, things like Guns of Navarone, caper films like Ocean's 11, things like that, the original Mission Impossible TV show. And so this was our original group here.
And Kiri, in developing the story, how do you balance the old and the familiar with the new?
I think this particular movie is a perfect bridge into these new types of movies that we want to do, because it is it's grounded in this piece of Star Wars history that everyone knows happened. And every Star Wars fan knows that the Death Star plans were stolen. And really, this is just our opportunity to expand on, as John did, that one piece of information to really build out a completely new story, new characters, but yet it's happening in a familiar moment in time on the Star Wars timeline. And so I think it's a really great blend of old and new, and I think Gareth has done an amazing job of visualizing it in a way that feels really fresh. But there are story elements that will feel really, connective and familiar to Star Wars fans. And it's an amazing combination.
And there's all sorts of new environments as well, aren't
Absolutely.
there? Gareth, please, can you tell us a bit about those?
Yeah, my favourite one, probably, because it meant we got to go to the Maldives, is a planet.
Which was like a trick that you played.
Sometimes you got to take one. Sometimes you got to take one for the team, haven't you? And it's a planet called Scarif. And we were going for realism throughout the film, and so we tried to go to real locations. Just so happened it was set in this paradise world. We had to go to paradise to film it. It was a nightmare.
It's tough, yeah, it's a tough life.
And it's funny because all the guys you see in this picture, this is the Maldivian army. And as we're filming it, we're thinking, oh, it's so cool. Imagine being these guys, and they must be so excited. And at the end, you go up to them and you say, so that was cool, right? You got to be stormtroopers. And they're like, what? You got to be stormtroopers then? Huh? And you go, you know Star Wars? No? And you go, you know Star Wars? You know stormtroopers? And they're like, no. And you go, do you know what any of this is? And they're like, no. And we're like, do you feel really stupid? And they're like, yes. So they're going to have a surprise when these billboards turn up in the Maldives.
It does look incredible, though, those stormtroopers wading through the most beautiful water. I think that's what I found so arresting. It's a new image for us.
The storm actually started coming in when we were filming this bit. And the problem is, it's like, if you use it, people think it's like bad VFX. Because it looks like we've cut things out and done things to it, and we haven't. That's exactly how it looked on the day.
So, have you brought anything else to show us today?
This is, okay, well, something that we can reveal for the first time right now is the new poster. And as a gift to everybody here, you're going to get a free poster on your way out. And I promise, Kathleen Kennedy is going to sign every single one of them. So form an orderly queue out the back. It's only 4,000.
Thanks, Kira.
Are you excited about your poster?